because
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. 8 weeks are in the books, almost. Monday Night Football, the final result we are waiting for here. And I guess, it was a good week of results for me overall. I think it was, other than the Jags losing and the Texans winning, all of my long shot Jags lit on fire in one season.
I know it was close. Two close games there. You just needed the Colts had the ball late with a chance. The Jaguars had their chances as well. Facing a backup quarterback who apparently is the best backup quarterback in the NFL. Probably gonna have to upgrade the Packers if it's him.
I really enjoyed the football yesterday, though. I think that was kind of
the witching hour area.
Huge breath of fresh air of wow, this was really fun football.
There was some blowout. Obviously the Lions game, and it's funny how a blowout isn't as bad when you bet on it.
Yeah, sure.
The Eagles blowout was majestic for me. I love that.
It was, amazing.
It's funny how there was a couple games that were shit, but what were there 5 games going on at the same time where it's oh man, I don't know what's happening here. Anything, especially the Browns Ravens, literally anything can happen here. And I'm thinking of ways that we're gonna get pick 6, and the Browns don't cover somehow.
Yeah,
they won outright, and that was the biggest oh no, because that game should have ended the way that the Cardinals game ended, with a run, no more clock left. You can't stop us. We kick a field goal and win. And then Jameis says,
disagree. I disagree. It should have ended with the Kyle Hamilton pick. It should have ended with the Ravens winning by 1 point.
Yeah. Which would have been a cover.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. No, yeah, you're right. Jameis Winston is a wild man. Just an absolute maniac, and in general, the Browns just not being a bummer was awesome. that was enjoyable.
That brought me life.
There
were rumors, unsubstantiated, unfounded, and this is probably the only place you're going to hear this, that it was National Tight End Day yesterday.
Was it?
Yeah, apparently. We're checking into it. We got the research team looking into this. It was funny. I was bugging Brad this morning in the Discord about that, because it's weird. It's why no other position has this?
Gets a day.
No other position in any other sport has it. It's not it's goalie's day or it's middle reliever day. It's some sort of underserved minority group.
I love it.
Oh man, please donate to the tight ends.
Well, in celebration of the tight end, Andy, we have a tight end currently in the top 10 of receiving yards this year. Can you name him?
Kittle.
No,
it isn't. Kittle's the best.
He is just outside. He is 15th right now with 503 yards on 49 targets. Oof. Kittle's number 2.
Why am I not getting this?
I'll tell you why I know this, because I specifically was interested in this.
Is it Brock?
It's Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
Mr. Brock
funny how
Bowers is number 10. I know. Who watches the Raiders? Yeah. The Brock Bowers is 10th right now with 535 yards receiving. And the reason I know this, Andy, is because I bet a bunch of Brian Thomas most receiving yards by a rookie. And he obviously got hurt yesterday. And I was like, gosh, yeah. And I was like, I wonder if I should cash these out, or I can cash these out, or if I should try to find another way to, kind of realize some profit there if Thomas misses time. And then I was like, well, what's his margin? And I'm like, oh shit, Bowers is right on his ass. And then weirdly, the wording on the market that I bet most of it at is rookie wide receiver. So I don't think Bowers can scoop me there, but I was pretty surprised and shocked to see that Brock Bowers right now is your number 10 receiver in professional football. It's also very disappointing because a lot of the names at the top of this board are guys who got hurt or aren't coming back for a while. Chris Godwin is still 5th. DK Metcalf is 8th. Nico Collins is still 9th. There's been a lot of hurt receivers.
I have some exposure on Devontae Adams, who has 200 yards.
It was Brocktober all along. Brock Bowers. We had the wrong Brock, Andy.
It's the wrong Brock. Oh my god. Anyway. We were fleeced on the Brock. So
anyway,
you want to rip? Should we rip through them?
Yeah, let's real quick touch on Thursday. I think the Rams are back in the mix for the West. I know that I'm a Rams bull. I know that they still, obviously, Stafford's probably not going to play that well again all season. But if he does, then they're dangerous. Viking?
Yeah, it's
non-scripted
tight.
offense.
It's tight there. Obviously, now the Niners getting the win was big for them. It feels tough if this is what we're going to get from the Niners at their lowest.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
but Rams are definitely live for a wild card spot. Tampa takes a big step back, missing their some injury pieces. A team that we thought might compete early in the season in the Saints is maybe going to win 5 games.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think maybe one of the, obviously the Bears and Vikings lost. One of those might take a step back and bow out of the wild card spot eventually. So it does feel like minimally we get a second West team in the playoffs.
Yeah,
whether it's Seattle or the Rams.
Or Arizona. Arizona right now is leading. They're leading the West because they have the only team that's 2-0, Andy.
It's not sustainable how they're winning the Niners. Go look at their. I know, but go look at their point differential.
I know, it's not good. They're the leading division with a -28 or something like that. Anyway, the Vikings offense. Are you nervous, worried, concerned about how they look outside of the scripted portion of the game?
I think getting Hawkinson back fixes that a lot. But if KOC isn't worried about that and working on fixing that, then he's not worth his salt, obviously. Okay. It feels like probably a big week to see, hey, here's a defense you should be able to beat up on. And yes, Christian Darrisaw is a massive loss for them, but it's not a week where maybe that's going to be exposed. This isn't like some top 10 pass rush.
Sure.
This is a defense you should be able to really, really, wreck, I guess, for big chunks of the game if you want. This has to be a Kevin O'Connell take out your frustration on a bad defense kind of week. And if you don't see, 28, 35 points out of this Vikings offense this week, then maybe you should start getting worried.
Okay. Let's go through the games then on Sunday. We start with the Linos, who have I guess they're just
dumbest box score of the dumbest box score of the year.
Yeah, I guess
because and it's not like it was like the Lions didn't deserve to win this because the yardage was the way it was. They just had 262 yards of kick and punt returns on 6 returns.
Hey man, special teams is a third of the game.
Yeah, 4-0 in the turnover battle, 5 for 5 in the red zone, and they were outgained by 200 yards. Such is life.
You know what you really don't want to be doing?
One.
You really don't want to be playing the Lions catch up because they can continue to throttle you,
especially with a bad offense. And it's not an upgrade. Rudolph is not an upgrade. Clearly,
no,
they don't have a good quarterback. They lost their best receiver to a trade. The defense is trying.
Well, Ridley was probably their best receiver. A couple of bad fumbles.
Hopkins looks good. This is taken from Unexpected Points, the newsletter we talked about a little bit with Kevin Cole. The Lions plus 23.5 EPA advantage over the Titans in special teams and penalties is the biggest number of any in my database ever.
That's pretty amazing.
He's like, you can't discount it all because you have to go do it, but that is a massive 4 scores essentially on penalties and special teams.
Yeah, the vibes in Detroit are immaculate right now.
Nobody is overcoming something like that, and I guess I didn't have that penciled in that Tennessee was that bad at coverage on kicks, but
what's the line ceiling and wins in your opinion?
13.
Okay.
You can win so many games with a high-end offense, even if your defense kind of stinks a little.
Okay.
The team that kind of team, you worry about them for a playoff run. You don't worry about them for winning 12, 13, 14 games. a hot, nasty offense, which is a pain in the ass to come back against because you're just not getting stops.
Yeah.
That's the prototypical, hey, we won a ton of games.
Okay. Right now I would have the Lions over 12.5 priced at plus 131. So I'm basically saying coin flip they get to 13. I have over 14.5 as plus 1,200. So basically I'm kind of like 8% chance that this team wins 15, 16 games, which I think puts Dan Campbell very squarely in the coach of the year conversation. The fact that they play a standalone game on December 30th against the Niners is, I think, pretty important because you win that game on the road on Monday night, second to last week of the season. That's basically what everybody makes their decision on when they vote.
Yeah.
So,
and it sucks that the timing Campbell, is a curse and a blessing because it does help you for that, which you shouldn't care about that if you're a fan. If you're betting coach of the year, then you need to. No, but I mean, it also sucks that it's like, you're likely facing McCaffrey and possibly a fully healthy offense at that point.
On the road.
I ran my Sims and I didn't do any upgrades for this week's at all yet. So these are last week's numbers. I had Detroit at 12.8. And I believe that counts. That counts the win that they already got because I just ran these.
Okay, so you're higher than me because I'm at 12.1.
12.8. The only team I have with more wins is the Kansas City Chiefs, just because of the schedule and the fact they have 7 wins. Buffalo from there goes Buffalo, Washington, Philly, Baltimore, Vikings, Packers, Texans, Atlanta, all above 10 wins.
Yeah, we're not that far off at all. I have Chiefs over the Lions,
pick? Carolina,
and then Bills. My top pick is Carolina at 3.2 wins, which feels high.
I was going to say I had 3.5.
I don't know how they're getting 2 more wins this season. Them, her, him, no. All right. I have the Commanders at 11 wins actually. Texans
11.4 for me.
I can't believe it, but yeah, the Texans basically. Well, I'm jumping all over the place, but let's keep carrying on.
I mean, one quick thing on that though. I basically have it a coin flip for Commanders Eagles for the division, which is fun.
I do as well. Oh no, actually, I'm pretty tilted Eagles. I'm at Eagles 60%, Commanders at 36. But I do think
for each.
Dan Quinn, if the Commanders get to 12 wins, Dan Quinn, it's going to be a very tough case to beat in the coach of the year.
That's what I'm saying. Like Dan Quinn's didn't have the Dan Campbell like expectations based off this team made the NFC title game last year. So I think Quinn probably has a big leg up in that spot. All right, next game.
Sorry, I got to go back to the odd screen with the.
You're fine. Real quick then too for injuries, just we like to cover injuries. Malcolm Rodriguez for the Lions left the game with an ankle injury.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And for the Tennessee Titans, we saw obviously Snead didn't play. That's massive. Keep an eye on him this week. Same thing with Will Levis. Not that probably matters. And then back to the Vikings Rams. The Rams were pretty healthy. It was just Cam Curl, the safety who hurt his knee. He did return. Probably keep an eye on him this week. And then the Darisaw thing was massive. Hawkinson will play against the Colts.
Okay. Next up is Ravens Browns. A weird, wild, awesome, fun game. Thank God for Jameis Winston and breathing life back into this franchise. Ravens got to be pretty mad at a couple of the losses that they've accrued this year. The Raiders game and the Browns game were very winnable, and they lost both. Even the Chiefs game was very winnable. So this is a team that's leaving some W's on the field, and that's going to cost them in terms of playoff seeding. Right now, I have them as the least likely of the 4 division leaders to win in the AFC, which is surprising. I mean, part of the reason is that the Steelers exist and they're not that far behind them.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Ravens.
What's your Buffalo number? 95%.
Buffalo, I have as more likely to win the AFC East than Chiefs to win the AFC West.
Same. I'm at 95,
which is hilarious.
I'm at 95 for the Bills, 89.8 for the Chiefs.
Yes, we're almost the same on. We're almost spot on there. Okay. All right. The Yeah, but the Ravens are playing with their food. This is going to cost them in terms of seeding. They could be the 4th seed, and they could be on the road. They're probably going to be on the road for 2 rounds of the NFL, the AFC playoffs, which is kind of sucks for them, honestly, because otherwise they're playing pretty dang good offense. Their defense has really been a struggle bus.
They really didn't get any pressure, and that's a problem because as much as like Winston's this fun, slinging around quarterback, he's not all that mobile. He's not a great sack avoidance guy. He looks like he's moving, but it's just because he takes really deep drops and then he does this dance thing, and it looks like he's moving around, but he's not going anywhere. And they just decided to give him all the time in the world. And then you had the missing pieces in the secondary, and then you drop a bunch of interceptions, drop a ball here or there, have a little bit of bad variance, and suddenly you're in a game. Like, I think the number was too big. I think the Browns are the right side, but I still think the Ravens should have pulled out a close win by about, 3 to 6 points. Kind of feels a little more fair for that game. It did feel like a bit of an unfair loss. But and it sucks because more than likely, obviously, according to the odds, 2 out of 3 times, the Steelers get another win tonight. And
yep,
that makes winning this division, again, even tougher. Yeah, Jameis is probably like not a bet on this week. He did throw like 4 balls that were very interceptable. He threw right at a couple guys. After like deep drops where he took a bunch of time to fully scan the field and then just threw it right at someone in a purple jersey. Like, it's still going to be the Jameis Winston experience, but the lows are the lows, but the highs he brings are so much higher than what we saw from anything Watson got. Chubb is starting to get back into health. And they're starting to give him the ball a little more. This offense could be fun, but their defense, which was supposed to be a strong point, again, little underperforming and more injuries. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah brought to the hospital on a backboard. He's okay, but I don't know that he plays. Denzel Ward is in the concussion protocol.
He matters so fucking much too.
Those are big injuries. And then we talked about not getting to the quarterback for the Ravens, and they had Brent Urban and Michael Pierce that were ruled out during the game. So probably a part of that.
I faded the Browns already. We'll get to that, but
Patrick's right. They're probably teasable.
The Browns, yeah.
It's still scary.
That's a terrible spot for the Chargers this week, but I bet them. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. Packers Jags was disappointing. Jaguars had this game in pretty decent shape. They were up against a backup quarterback, and then Trevor Lawrence fumbled, which led to 14 consecutive points for the Packers and a lead that seemed insurmountable. And not only were they not going to win, they blew a very coverable cover, but they sneak in the back door and tie the game at 27. And then you think, wow, okay, maybe there's some life here. But no, Malik Willis bombed 51 yards to Reed, and the game is effectively over at that point. The Jags defense kind of letting them down in that moment felt very right. Trevor Lawrence having a couple of just really boneheaded plays in this game was kind of the story of the season, the story of their season, or really the story of his career, I guess. Like, he just does a couple of real minus things in a game, and that's the margin when you're playing against a good team at home. Even that's why you lose. So, did you feel like the Jags deserved a better fate here, or is this right in your mind in terms of like a cover but lose?
It was probably right there. Like, I had this number middling, I think, where I showed a little value on the Jags, but I was scared to take it with just the upside of the Packers pass game against the secondary and, the up and down nature of the Jaguars pass rush. I was scared of this defense just getting exposed for big chunks. Obviously, it got weird the injuries on both sides made this game kind of weird. So it is kind of hard to evaluate this one from a hindsight standpoint, I suppose. But,
okay.
Like we talked about with Trevor Lawrence and how well he's played the last few weeks. I guess that's the shitty part about the autopsy here, is looking at the injuries to all the wide receivers.
Yeah. Thomas, Kirk, and Gabe Davis are all hurt. Thomas.
Yeah, Kirk's done for the year. That's a broken collarbone.
Kirk's done for the year.
And if they lost the game, it was probably going to be
not very good anyway. And Brian Thomas Jr. I think is going to play.
People were calling about Kirk apparently, so it was going to be like, if we lose, we can still trade Kirk. So now they don't get their cake or eat it too. Gabe Davis shoulder injury, not sure. Brian Thomas, that it's like a bad chest contusion. I think it'll be a pain tolerance thing.
Okay.
But they were worried that was going to be a lot worse. They were thinking like a month this morning, and then the MRI came back clean. But they lost Brandon Scherf to a knee injury as well. Yeah. And obviously the big one is Jordan Love. Jordan Love going out with a groin, which groins are not great for quarterbacks, wide receiver. I mean, basically anyone who has to move around, run, switch directions. The groins suck. I've pulled a groin. Bowling of all things. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. You can't get out of your car, right? So terrible. I don't know. They said he can't move, but Malik Willis is kind of good, right?
Yeah.
Is that the best trade in
how
year?
much? Yeah. How much do we upgrade the Packers?
So, if you remember it, people were going anywhere from 5 to 7 points down.
Yeah,
on the first week, which was incorrect.
Right.
It's probably more like a 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And maybe less because of
the
structure, the coaching,
do
the
things
people
unexpected.
Around.
Yeah.
It's a good offensive line. It's a good wide receiver room. You got a good running back and you got a good coach. So it might go to war with Green Bay if the number gets out of hand.
I am there too. All right. The Colts covered somehow against the Texans. The Texans didn't impress at all, I didn't think. People were calling for Anthony Richardson's head this morning, which I kind of am surprised. Like the Colts.
So I get it. I get it. But it's not good for the franchise long term. Or are you going to build around Joe Flacco?
No.
You need to give him more reps. That's the terrible.
Reps. Yeah.
He needs the reps, which sucks because if you want to win, you could probably put Flacco in and go to the playoffs. But what does that do for this team next year? Not winning the Super Bowl.
I don't even know if you're going to the playoffs with Flacco.
Not close.
Not by my numbers. I don't think you are.
Shoot! I have the Colts for 8 wins, which is still 30% to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Honestly, they'd go to the playoffs with Flacco. It's AFC. It's so weak.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that the strategy the Colts are employing, I think, is fine and correct. And I don't know. I don't think Richardson's getting the hook for performance.
He shouldn't. It shouldn't be what you do. But it is.
I actually also don't really know how I feel about him as a player yet. I don't think we have anywhere close to a fully baked cake here.
It's been 10 games
to evaluate him. Yeah, not even.
What
close.
did you think about the quote? I had to take a breather.
Well, I watched the play and didn't see the injury because he tapped himself on the helmet.
He said he was that's just the sign to take me out.
Take me out.
He said just take me out because I was tired.
Yeah, no, I know. And I watched the play and I didn't understand why he had to come out at all. And then the quote wasn't great, but it's
and you know what's funny?
Yeah.
If a wide receiver or running back does that
all the time.
They do that, that happens
all the time. Every game
all the time. We don't even talk about it, but it is crazy how I overreacted to it. I feel like that's terrible. He should retire. He's a quitter. He's dead to me. But it's funny. Maybe
it was also
he's just the first guy that was honest.
It was 3rd and 1 million too. They weren't 3rd and 1 million, and they weren't getting that touchdown. So I don't know. I think I'm being contrarian for no reason on Richardson right now, but I don't think that.
I
don't think the reactions are right.
He's just can I get a guy wide open way down the field? I have a cannon.
That's all they run. They're not asking him to do anything else.
Yeah.
And I think if you kind of correct some of the small stuff, mostly the fumbles and the communication stuff, then I think that makes him a much more dangerous player. And then you got to continue to develop him as just being able to do his mechanics look a lot of room to grow. He's an injury risk. There's lots of negatives. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think you have to keep teaching the kid. I mean, Jordan Love was getting quit on last year at this time. And then by the end of the year, he was like a hot pick for the MVP this year. So
this was going to be the silver lining.
Give him a little time. Yeah.
This is going to be the silver lining for the Colts. JT is looking good. They've
he
got Taylor back. He looked very good.
Offensive line getting healthier?
A little bit. So, I don't think they had much for injuries. Colts had a safety go down, Trevor Denbo. The Texans, although, despite winning, looked bad again.
Yes.
We saw another bad CJ Stroud game, relative to what we're used to from last year. And they lost their center was evaluated for concussion. They lost their left tackle with a concussion. They lost Stephon Diggs probably for the year. That's looking like, it was non-contact knee, and they had to be helped off. He's done. So, and another safety, Kalen Bullock, was injured. Their defense is really, really, really beat up. So what they can't have right now, they can't have bad CJ Stroud games because their defense needs to get healthy before they can help support an offense that's not really getting it done. And without Diggs and Nico now, that's a problem. Nico is projected week 10. So maybe
he was IR'd, so he can't come back before 10, right?
Yeah. But they were kind of projecting like it's going to be the 4 weeks. So if that's a thing, maybe there's a buy spot there because of the on-off we've seen with him.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is the thing. So, I looked at that Thursday game. I'm like, oh, this is such a sweet. I can't do it with the Jets. I can't do it with Ulbrich on a short week. Like that coaching staff on a short week.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They still might win, but boy, there's a lot of strikes against the Jets right now. If the injury news goes the right way, it's still the Jets. The Jets are the move, but fuck, you got to just if your mind, you got to picture Aaron Rodgers with the headset on and just pretend he's the coach.
Okay,
be like he's putting the game plan together. We're not relying on Ulbrich and Downing.
I got lucky covers with the Jags and the Texans that really made my morning. What didn't make my morning was the Dolphins getting steamed to 5 and being pretty convinced the Dolphins were the right side and I was going to win my bet. And then they had an 8 or 9 point lead late in this game. The scoring was weird in this one. It was breaking my brain. Yeah. 9 point lead late in this game. This dynamic running team with all of this running back talent and this amazing scheme couldn't put away a 9 point lead.
The offensive maintaining drives when they needed to was bad, and the defense was so bad. And you should give Kyler credit. He was dynamic at times, and he didn't hardly get pressured. He was so good back there moving around. This is, what we expect from the highs from him. Obviously, the young receiver Harrison was good in a couple spots as well, but Miami's defense is probably a problem right now. You got to give them enough offensive upgrade that looked good, but the defense was way worse than I expected. I laid it with the Dolphins as well. I really liked the spot for them. Didn't work.
The big swing in the game was the 3rd and 4th challenge that Arizona did in fourth quarter. It was ruled an incomplete pass and they challenged it and they gave Marvin Harrison the completion. The game is over. I think it was correct too, but the game was over. I thought the game was over. I was celebrating.
That
was frustrating. Yeah, that one was bad. Yeah,
I played against a couple of teams that could not stop a third down. Yeah, and Miami, obviously one of them. The Eagles, it didn't matter because they just scored in every drive.
What did you think of Tua?
Tua looked okay for first week back. A couple of deep balls weren't great, but it's Tua. The deep balls aren't going to look great
because they're coming out of his left hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had one that was just tragically
just a duck. Just a duck.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's next? Is it the Jets? No, Falcons, Bucks. Falcons, Bucks.
Cousins has bowls solved, man.
He's the only guy.
Yeah. They've looked really good in both matchups, obviously. And
did Pitts fumble at the goal line, in your opinion?
Yes. Amazing. It's like we're watching Hawaii BYU again, and we don't have a pylon cam. Like, I get it when we're in the Christmas Day celebration bowl, but when we're when we are a $1 billion industry and they're putting cameras in reporters, lapels, and they got the sky cam and the spider cam and the NBC it cam and every kind of cam. We don't have pylon cams in all 32 stadiums. 31 rather, I guess, because of the Meadowlands. Yeah. Baffling, because he definitely fumbled that. Yeah. I don't know if it would have mattered in the end.
This ghost of Desmond Ritter. He did it twice last year in this game, right? In that stadium. Yeah. All right. Well, I think the Falcons effectively clinched a playoff spot with that win. I right now have them at 90 to make the playoffs, 86 to win the division.
87 to make the playoffs, 83 to win the division.
I'm projecting the Falcons to get the 2 seed. Oh no, I'm sorry. I have them behind the Eagles, so they will likely get the 3 seed.
Yeah, I'd have them as the 3rd seed too, and then the West as the 4th
11
seed.
win 3 seed.
10.4 for me for the Falcons.
Okay. I don't have any other thoughts other than
the other thoughts were
is brutal in Tampa.
Tampa Bay took a bunch of steam to the under. The game took steam to the under, obviously, with the wide receiver minuses for Godwin and Evans. It still went over. It went over any number you could have bet. It still looked like a very good offense. Baker Mayfield is what makes an offense move. McMillan sucks. He could have had a big day if he turned around and looked for the ball, but Baker is still very good. And if this defense gets healthy and they play some easier teams and they're not against Kirk Cousins, they don't have to play Cousins anymore, maybe in the playoffs, but they will still win games. I still have the Tampa Bay Bucks as a 35% chance to make the playoffs. There's just such a glut there between the Niners, the Bucks, the Bears, the Hawks, the Cardinals, the Cowboys, so many 8-9 win teams in the NFC. It's going to be tough.
Baker Mayfield is a very real chance at the passing triple crown, Andy. Yards, touchdowns, picks.
Yeah.
He is a runaway right now in touchdowns. Did you know that? He's got a 4 touchdown lead in for most.
They don't have any rushing touchdowns.
That's amazing.
Every time they get down there, it's a passing touchdown. And Patrick, a good point out here too. Troy Anderson missing still matters. They've had numerous players banged up, and they didn't have the strongest secondary to start with. Even adding Judon, the pass rush wasn't great. So the Falcons offense, the Falcons are just like Detroit light.
Yes, that's a very good comp. Let's talk about the game of the day. Game of the year, play of the year, play of multiple years.
Jets,
Bears,
New England. Okay, go different direction.
Bears, commies, man. This was the much ballyhooed matchup between two teams. Oh, this was in the 4:00 window. Sorry, I'm just going by rotation number.
So also the game sucked ass for 3 quarters.
The game sucked ass. Caleb Williams and the Bears offense were useless.
He was 4 for 17 at one point.
And then they were amazing. And I was like, what? Huh? And then they did some dumb shit at the goal line. And then it didn't matter because they were amazing again and they took the lead. And you're like, wow, the Bears stole this thing. And then the Hail Mary that was probably the most fun play that we've had in 10 years of football was so just flat out awesome. I can't believe the photos and the Tyreek Stevenson doing that. Was it Tyreek Stevenson? Do I have that right? Taekwon? I forget what his name is. The mocking that's going on while the play's happening was amazing. Then the fact that he was the guy that tipped it to Noah Brown is incredible. He still has
his back turned.
It's incredible. It was incredible.
And to be fair, he made the right play. People are like he should have been covering the receiver. It's like you want to be high pointing that ball and swatting it down forward. You don't want to swat it back into the end zone. You want to swat it down. He just did a really shitty job of jumping, and he ended up tipping it up instead. I don't know. He was in the wrong spot. He should have been closer to the receiver and smacking that ball straight down, out towards the 5-yard line. So he had a bad day, and it's fun because otherwise the goat gets used in a weird way. Goat used to mean the guy who's going to get shit on for the loss. Now goat is the greatest of all time, but
the Billy Goat.
The Billy Goat. The goat was going to be probably Waldron, or whoever came up with the play call.
Waldron is doing a poor job.
We had 2 weeks. This is off a bye week, guys. So wasn't it? Were the Bears off a bye, correct?
Bears were off a bye.
They had 2 weeks to come up with a game plan. They had 0 points through like 40 minutes, and they decided with the game on the line to hand it off to a guard. Like that's what you've been doing for 2 weeks, Everflus? Waldron, is that what we were coming up with? And to their credit, missing Brisker, missing what was the other? Maybe that is Stevenson. There's so many defensive pieces that sound the same.
Yeah,
but they're missing two.
Brisker was out, and who's the other guy? Damn it! It was a corner, right? Kyler Gordon?
Yeah,
no.
Gordon. Yeah, Gordon. Missing two pieces in the secondary. That defense was very good, especially in the red zone. Washington had the same kind of game they had against New York, where they moved the ball a little, but they just couldn't score. And the fact that they kept making them kick field goals, it's the only reason they were in the game. If 2 of those get punched in, it's 23-0, and there's no shot.
Yeah, this is Commanders, Cardinals all over again.
Yeah, and I do want to watch. I didn't watch a lot of this game. I watched the second half. I want to watch this one tonight or tomorrow if I get a chance on the quick rewind, because this is the question I want to answer as well. Fire and Ice 39. It's like, what was the Washington defense doing so well? Was it more of Caleb just playing poorly off the bye, or was it Washington defense doing something to him?
I think it was both.
I still don't think they have it.
I think that was both. The win probability chart for this one was absolutely hilarious. It's a straight line down for the Washington Commanders, and then a flip up to a tiny little mountainous peak of win of 100% for the Bears to 0. Amazing game. So glad the Commanders
Bears
and the fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Bears had 3 different offensive linemen come off.
Yeah, that
stay off during the game. Braxton Jones looks like week to week. He's going to miss time. They're saying it's not like a tear, it's not a surgery, but still probably a few weeks out for their left tackle. And then Tevin Jenkins and Bill Murray left late. Not that Bill Murray with knee and chest injuries. That Washington had. Cornelius Lucas came off with an ankle injury midway through. I didn't have a follow up on that. I don't know if you need
thankfully go to the Cardinals, who don't have a pass rush, so maybe it doesn't matter. They're losing offensive line.
But it seems like 2 of the 3 injuries maybe aren't super serious. Braxton Jones will miss time.
Yeah, it's time to look at your Washington defense number, I think.
This is fair too. The one Caleb throw on the sidelines where he just threw it like well behind. I don't know if it was DJ Moore or who it was over there. Maybe a Dunze. He has some bad throws to the sidelines.
Yeah, it's very unusual that aspect of his game wasn't picked apart a little bit more in the draft process, because that's a super important talent. That's a super important
down the field is
fine.
Yeah, he can't throw like a wide receiver screen, which it feels like a Chuck Knobloch thing. Like, that's such an easy throw. Just make it. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Interesting. All right, to the Jets, Pats. I guess real quick, wait, before we get there, I do want to mention 2 things. Dan Quinn, rightfully coach of your favorite after that game. Huge flip in his equity from that win. The Commanders, I think, effectively clinched a playoff spot by winning that game. I think it's going to be very tough for them not to get to 10, and 10 is all you're going to need to get a wild card in the NFC this year. I have them make the playoffs probability now at 80. I mentioned already their division is only 36 for me. Short of a 6 or 7 game absence to injury from something else in the future that happens, Jaden Daniels is your rookie of the year. I think that's basically
he's
over.
like minus 500 this morning. So
yeah, that's over. And the Bears, I think, pretty much got eliminated from the playoffs with this loss. That was huge. My make the playoffs number for the Bears is now 26 with how difficult their schedule is coming up. They couldn't afford to lose this game. I remember one other point I wanted to bring up to you in this one. Jaden Daniels calling his own number. All week it was the market treating this like 90-10. He was out. We were, I feel like, a little bit more receptive to the idea that he might just go, and he did. What did you make of that situation?
So I think it was one of those where like it comes down to what sort of injury a player has. It's like, hey, this is a concussion. This is a strained ligament. Can we make it worse if he plays?
Okay.
Or is it a pain tolerance thing? And I think when it's a pain tolerance and the doctor's like, he can't make this worse, he's going to be miserable. And, like rest isn't the only answer here. It's just time. If you want to shoot him up and wrap him up and, put ice packs and warm packs on it in between drives, he can play. And I think that's what it came down to was there was no cracks. There was no cartilage broken. There was no broken ribs. Like it was just, he was beat up and he toughed it out.
Interesting.
So, and it was funny too, because that was a look ahead number I had where I bitched about it I bet Washington minus
your
1.5.
Your look ahead Bucks was also a sweat free winner. Nice.
Yeah, all the bad numbers I got on look at.
Your Bucks over.
That died 2 ugly deaths. Washington 1.5 died twice and came through, no big deal. But it was what a fun play. We need more fun plays like that.
Okay. Speaking of fun, Jacoby Brissett comes in for the head injured Drake May and gets himself a little redemption against the New York Jets. The Patriots are super duper bad. They are not well served by winning this game, but I still was pretty happy for them getting into the winner's circle. And it's pretty fun when you're not betting on the Jets and you get to watch them suffer and suck. Yeah. It's fun. And I don't think the Jets deserve to lose this game at all. I don't really understand how they did lose it, if we're being honest. And yeah, this is a 2-win team, 2-6. Game that they had absolutely no business losing. Now 2 of those this year, one against the Broncos and now against the Patriots. They've dumped.
Well, and I think a common thread there is you lost. You lost by what, 3 points here? Yeah. You lost by 1 point against the Broncos. They probably lost about 9 or 10 combined EPA just on missed kicks in those games. Like it's Greg Zuerlein. Like it's a lot of things. And, Rodgers should be playing better with what they've surrounded with him. The defense should be playing better, but your kicker's not any good. And you lost by 3 and he missed an extra point and a field goal that were makeable. Like what happens if he makes those kicks? You win the game. What happens if he makes the kick? Like he's missed a lot of big kicks. Ulbrich isn't obviously going to, he's not going to be in the contention for next year's head coaching spot. They don't have a good coaching staff. Everyone's underperforming. Rodgers is making more mistakes than we're used to. And again, you can't. Yeah, this is funny. They went all in on the roster, but they're refusing to look at new kickers. 7 teams have switched kickers this year, I feel like.
Greg the leg is just too entrenched. So the Jets defense is a tough handicap right now in terms of making a fair. They are not playing especially well. The Jets offense, I think, is a very easy handicap. They're like 20th best, maybe 21st. Overall, I have the Jets power rated as the 18th best team in the NFL. And I right now project them to get to 6 wins. 6. That is a disaster of a season for this team. And they've banked too many losses. I think it's over. Am I crazy?
It's certainly over. I have them between 6 and 7, and it should have been good for them. Like Brissett is probably a lower ceiling player, and he was still good enough against this defense. And it was a weird game, like you said. Rodgers' box score doesn't look so bad. They probably should have won this game. Missing the field goal. There was a longer punt return. So that was another one too, where we see those longer special teams plays kind of get hidden in the box score a little too. Like the good field position for May, and May just being better while he was in, and then Brissett kind of coming in and playing steady enough against what has turned out to be a middle of the pack defense, maybe worst.
Yeah, at least he threw a touchdown to Conklin. He did respect tight end day. National Tight End Appreciation Day. Did I have that right?
I don't think it was appreciation. I think it's just tight end
celebration day. Whatever. All right. The Jets are.
Ulbricht's like, we're entering a dark space.
Yeah, the
and
Patriots
Rodgers says you got to embrace it.
Gotta embrace it. Were you surprised that Devontae Adams' very rousing, powerful locker room speech didn't have a breakthrough with this team?
Yeah, I don't know. This team
was one of the dumber stories of the week.
This team, it feels just like toxic-y.
Yeah.
Where the vets have to be out on this. Like, fuck, Rodgers. Like, you get him. He comes in. You get the pieces around him. It feels like, all right, this should work. And when it's not working, it's so people buy out. That's not like the phrase people say. Like the opposite of buying in. People check out. They buy out so quickly. And it's, I think, kind of what you're seeing from this defense.
Well, the good news is they're probably going to have a top 6 pick in the draft. And there's only 2 teams that are likely to take a quarterback out of them. So maybe they can solve quarterback of the future this year in the draft. Good news. Good news, Jets.
Whoever the new coach is.
And the new GM. Because it's a restart. All right. The Buffalo Bills throttle the Seahawks in the box on the final score. But this game was close for a long time.
Mad at this game, Drew.
I am too. I'm so mad at the Seahawks.
That fucking fumble.
Oh,
so the fumble luck that caused like, what was it, 7-3, and it was third down.
7-3, and they were deep in their own territory.
And they tackled Allen for like a 1-yard gain.
Yeah, he
fumbles it forward, first down, because it goes right to what, Cook or somebody,
Coleman, Cook or somebody.
Yeah, and then of course they marched down the field, and then it's 14-3. Seattle, every time they get to the red zone, something hilarious happened. They had the 25-yard loss on the snap. On fourth down, they decided to go for it, and the center steps on maybe the guard. One of the offensive linemen steps on Geno's foot. He falls down. Fourth down, abandoned. Like, it was a pretty unlucky spot and then it flipped into the wrong game state, and you were never getting back from there. This is the only second half bet I made. So I looked at it, I'm like, well, either Seahawks come back and look really good, or the defense does the thing where they quit. Yeah. And the total was like 21 for the second half. I think that got blown out. It was 24-27, something like that.
The 4th and goal in the first half sucked. I felt like that was kind of the pivot point of the game. But that
forward fumble thing.
The forward fumble was absolutely bananas. What? Who recovered that? Ty Johnson got it.
Ty Johnson. Yeah, I thought it was a running back, not Cook.
He was sacked for a 3-yard loss at the Buffalo 9, and it was recovered by Ty Johnson at the Buffalo 23.
Even if it's just a fumble that doesn't go for a first down, they have to punt. That's something. But I mean, how many times does that go to a Seattle defender, and then you have the ball at the 11?
Yeah, unbelievable. All right. Well,
different. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Seattle a little undisciplined and not great in comeback mode, and obviously the Bills can run the ball.
Goodness, can they?
Bills are great from ahead right now.
Super good.
Yeah. Good run scheme. 3 good running backs. Good running quarterback. Good coaching. Bills are kind of a boring good team right now.
Yeah. That said,
they're my third best team.
Their schedule remains very, very tough. Yeah. That's kind of keeping a lid, I think, on them getting a 1 seed potentially. Although they do have a head-to-head against Kansas City, which is going to be fascinating. The Bills play the Lions and the Chiefs left.
Behind them,
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's very, very possible. The Bills have a really, really difficult remaining schedule outside of their divisional games, which they should all win by a touchdown. They have 2 games against the Patriots, right? Oh God, dude, they finished Patriots, Jets, Patriots. What a landing! My goodness gracious. Yeah.
Saints Chargers.
They get this 4-game stretch in the middle though. Whew. You ready for this? Chiefs bye. Niners, Rams, Lions. Whoo-wee.
Let's go 2-2. Win your division.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't watch much of Saints Chargers.
Hayner came in for Radler in the third quarter for a spark. Same results. I mean, it was very similar. The Chargers didn't look that good.
Team total got home.
Yeah,
Didn't deserve to, but it did.
Yeah, the Chargers did not look that good, but the miscues by New Orleans kept them kind of comfy. It was similar. It felt similar to the Denver game where it's like, man, the Chargers aren't that good, but how are they up by like 2.5 scores here?
Yeah.
It was the same kind of thing where it's like they're not playing a very good game, but the Saints are much worse, much more injured, and this was the Widowmaker failing because
it was the Saints
you can
offense
only
was very bad.
Well, you can only tolerate so many injuries, even in a Widowmaker. Did not go over. The dog or the team with the better rest advantage did not cover, and the Chargers get another win.
I watched one play of this game live. It was the 3rd and 7 at the New Orleans 9 with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. As I was like, please pass it. Like, just pass it. Just get the touchdown, please. Because I think they would not have gotten. Yeah, they would have been stuck at 22 if they kicked the field goal there instead of getting the touchdown.
So, team total got there though.
Team total got there. Very lucky though. Chargers right now are still not. I don't think they're correctly priced in terms of offense and defense. Maybe they are. Offensive line is amazing. When they play that well, offensive line wise, then it's just they can play a lot. They can play a style of football where they just protect their defense and win time of possession 1,000,000 to nothing. The time of possession win here was only 31-28. So maybe I'm a little off base here, but
that's the thing. So they have this great offensive line, Drew, but at times the running game doesn't look like what I thought we might get from Roman and Harbaugh, even in a winning effort where they led wire to wire. Actually, they were down 2-0 at one point, but they essentially led wire to wire. Wasn't really in doubt for most of the game. Their leading rusher had 17 carries for 57 yards. They only ran for 122 total on 29 carries. It wasn't a great game on the ground. The Saints were better. Even behind this offensive line, I think I don't know, maybe Dobbins just doesn't have it anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Chargers, I'm projecting to be your 5th seed, that top wild card team. 9.7 wins projected, 73% chance to make the playoffs right now. 6.5% chance that they win the division.
I have them very close with the Steelers. So yeah, I have the Steelers. I have the Steelers losing to the Ravens and for the divisional race eventually. Yes, but the Chargers and Steelers, Steelers, Broncos, 5, 6, 7.
But oh goodness gracious,
that's wild.
Fucking you. All right. The Eagles Bengals is out of order, I guess, because they moved it to the morning window, so everybody could get a good look at how broken the Bengals are right now. There was like surprising support for the Bengals in this game, Andy. They closed -3. So this came back to -3, which I did not think was coming, and I do not think was correct. This was not a Seattle type of bad beat or a how did the Dolphins not close the door type of game. Like the Bengals just weren't even remotely good enough without T. Higgins to be competitive in this one. Joe Burrow's mechanics were weird. I don't know.
Yeah, the first 2 drives.
What I saw with these guys.
Yeah, the first 2 drives are good. The first 2 drives combined took almost a full quarter of football. It was like 14-40, I think, combined or something. Obviously, that long touchdown drive looked real good. Got out of scripted. The T. Higgins missing started to become more apparent. He missed that field goal. Eagles drive down, tie it, and then from there it was pretty much all Eagles at that point. I guess it was tied 17-17. They had one nice drive coming out of the half after to match the Eagles there, and then after that there was a turnover on downs. There was the interception, the fumble. Okay. Boy, it got real nasty on offense, and the Eagles just kept scoring. And it wasn't even as dominant on the ground as I thought we might see. Hurts was pretty decent. Barkley was 22 for 108.
There are people that are going to make
10 carries.
Yeah. People are going to make cases for Barkley, OPOY, but the most important player on offense for the Eagles is very obviously A.J. Brown. Do you agree?
He's very good. Smith had a game too. Smith had found himself open a couple of times, but A.J. Brown he can do it all because he can be
a game changer. Yeah,
but he can be a possession guy, but he can also get open deep, and obviously he's very good just in the open field with the ball in his hands. Yeah, that was a strange trade. Still,
how about a breakout from Grant Calcaterra? You know, he
Well,
was their
somebody. Goddard is still out, and maybe remains out one more game. So they got to throw somebody that's not just Smith and Brown. And I don't know who they're. Who's your third receiver? Jack Stoll. Maybe he's a tight end too. Jesus. But Calcaterra, he's been getting a few looks.
Yeah, he was celebrating tight end day. All right. Eagles.
Eagles win straight up as a dog. Duh.
Where are you powering the Eagles right now? Just rank, not rate. How high up are they for you?
Well, after I ran the Sims, I have them as the 5th best team by win totals.
Yeah. But how about just yeah?
Right now, my Eagles are 10th by my power rankings, which are based on power ratings.
I have them 7th.
Between 7th and 10th is not a big difference for me.
No,
I have from like Green Bay to Atlanta. There's not a big gap there, so I think I'll be probably moving the offense up a little more. And I've had some worries about if I give Jalen a little bump here, it takes him up to 8th. So I'm probably closer to that. I don't think I'll be upgrading the defense.
Okay, yeah, we agree. Kansas City Chiefs beat the Raiders 27-20. The Raiders had a chance to make this interesting when they intercepted Pat Mahomes, but then could not run it into the end zone. It was very funny how
what a defensive stand that was, though.
Incredible. I can't believe that the defender did not get that touchdown off a pick. Like that was kind of surprising.
That was what made it happen. Like they got the tackle and the defense really stiffened up.
Yeah. Pat Mahomes did end up with 2 touchdown passes, but it's funny how difficult it has been for him to really kind of excel in the touchdown passing department this year. Very weird. He has 8 touchdowns, 9 picks so far. He continues to win football games, though, because the Chiefs' defense is the best in football. There were times in this game where it didn't look like they were the best in football. Conceding 20 points to the Raiders, I think, was disappointing. I don't know. I don't really have any takeaways here. I think the Chiefs probably should have covered.
Yeah, Minshew wasn't that bad, and they did have some plus field position at times. Just no run game to be had for the Raiders. Again, it was a tough task.
You cannot run against the Chiefs, period.
No, it was kind of a bad combination. Like, you don't have any running backs that are doing anything anyway, and then this is a run defense you can't do anything against. So you put the game on Minshew, and the fact that it was this close was maybe surprising. I'm not sure if they deserve the cover. It's a lot of points on the road, man.
Well, they should have. I'm saying they should have covered. Well, once they got the defensive stand, they score a touchdown the next drive, and the garbage time points got the Raiders in the back door.
Yeah,
13-play, 70-yard drive to backdoor this one. Whatever. I don't really care about this game.
That's kind of like the Cowboys game too. Like the Cowboys weren't that good in the second half. It was just garbage time points.
True. They almost had the ball with the chance to take the lead, man. Panthers Broncos was Sheriff Hart game of the week, right?
Yeah, Chargers. Sean Payton even said it. This isn't a very good team. We didn't play he was mean about it. It was, Sean Payton was right. Turnovers were equal in this one, but the Broncos defense was just way better at getting off the field for the most part. The last touchdown for the Panthers was kind of garbage time. And
it was very garbage time.
Knicks was good enough again against a bad team. Defense actually didn't look as good as I thought they would.
No, they didn't. Pat Surtain is back. He looks amazing again. Bryce Young had another negative EPA day. It's the millionth of his career. Very young career. No thoughts. The Panthers are quite bad. Excited to find out what direction they're going in the draft next year. Probably quarterback. Cowboys.
They lost DJ Johnson, linebacker, to punt on a sprained ankle. The Panthers did. Denver kept it pretty clean. They didn't really have any injuries. I know we missed
DJ Johnson. I don't even know who that is. Oh, I see him. He's way down. He's already down the depth chart.
Yeah, I think he cycles in at times. Maybe he's even special teams worth checking. Kind of missed a few injuries. The Raiders lost their center, Andre James, to an ankle injury.
Yeah.
Safety, Nazee Johnson, concussion for the Chiefs. Like I mentioned, we missed the Dolphins one too. Javon Holland didn't return. That defense is already banged up.
Said he was fine though.
He didn't come back, but he should be back this week. It's kind of what I heard. The Drake May concussion, he is full ass in the protocol right now. Yeah. And then the Saints. So Bub Means hurt his hand. Lattimore left with a hamstring injury. Marshawn Lattimore, the cornerback, didn't return. They lost another corner, Enrico Payton, back injury. He didn't come back. Tight end Juwan Johnson was evaluated. Him and Olave were evaluated for concussions. Olave obviously came back. So they have a long list to kind of keep an eye on this week. And then the other one, too, that we missed was Darius Slay for the Eagles, leaving with a groin injury. He's been better. He's been halfway decent. Obviously, and the two defensive ones I missed were Levante David with the ankle injury. He came back in for the Bucs, but keep an eye on that because he matters a ton.
Yes.
And same with Draymond Jones. He came back to the game, but he sustained a shoulder injury for the Seahawks. And why doesn't Chris Jones have DPOI? I don't know. He's not the right kind of edge rusher, I guess.
It's a great question. I mean, we talked about Dexter Lawrence's cock blocking him in his own category because he's getting all the sacks. All right, the Chiefs. I don't know when they're losing.
Next year,
16 and 17 wins are in reach. It seems crazy to say it out loud, but it's very much in reach for them. Their schedule is pudding soft. They're going to have a game where they just let down, I suppose, but I don't see where it's going to happen. You know who's not making the playoffs, Andy?
The Raiders.
The Raiders. I was going to go to the next game, though, and say the Cowboys.
No, I had one quick thing before we go.
Yeah.
Is Andy Reid voted Coach of the Year for a perfect season?
I think so.
Does that trump a Dan Quinn divisional championship?
I think it does.
It's close still, I think.
17-0 is
so hard.
Sweepy. Yeah.
It feels like, oh man, have we underrated this guy for years and not given him an award because it's always been such a high bar? It feels like, oh shit, we should give this to Andy.
Absolutely.
Because it's on the table. There's a lot of easy wins yet.
And
they're winning games by like 3 and 4 points every week anyway. It's wild that they haven't lost. All right, night game. Dallas sucks. Defense sucks.
Yeah.
They need to get guys back. Brocktober returned, and it doesn't matter who's on the field, even if it is. Isaac Garendo wasn't even the starter for his college team last year.
What?
Like he was. Oh, who was he behind? Somebody help me out with this.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he was. So he was Louisville. Oh, I got to think of now I got to look at like Louisville's roster for last year. Someone can help me out with this, I'm sure, but you vamp about this game. I'm not sure what you got. Oh, Jawan Jordan. Yeah.
Who's he behind?
Jawar Jordan.
Okay. Definitely knew about him as a player. I mean, the Niners made it look very hard in the first half of this game and very easy in the second half of this game. Absolutely terrible pick to play the second half under by us that I will wear. And then, the Cowboys made a last gasp Hail Mary effort, but could only get within 6. Thankfully, the Niners closed 5.5 points favorites. So all numbers are winners. This was a buy low, it turns out, for the Niners. I don't think everything's fixed, surely. But they can still get, pretty unbelievable quality play from a team level when they need it turns out. Dallas is just depressing, and we're going to get a lot of them in the month of November. Healthy serving the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, and just because I was on the Wikipedia page, the Louisville Cardinals have 2 retired numbers, both quarterbacks. Who are they?
Lamar Jackson.
Correct. The other one is a Super Bowl champion winning quarterback. A little older.
Not Teddy Bridgewater. They didn't retire Bridgewater.
He's in the Ring of Honor. That's like a second tier thing.
They didn't retire Teddy's number, huh?
No, not yet.
Huh.
Super Bowl 5 champion.
That was the Colts defeating the Dolphins. Johnny Unitas?
Johnny Unitas.
I didn't know he went to Louisville.
I could not have told you where he went to
Johnny,
college.
you went to Louisville?
Apparently.
Huh. How about that? Learn something new every day.
I did that. I learned that today too.
I mean, I don't know. You feel like the Niners are problem solved, mission accomplished. They go into their bye week. Christian McCaffrey's coming back. Everybody's going to be fine. This is going to be
Debo. Debo has to get healthy. Like Debo looked like he probably shouldn't have been playing. Did you see the shit they were doing between plays on him?
Didn't like it.
Toughest man alive. Like most men would have been in a hospital bed still. He's out there playing NFL football, getting into car crashes on every other play.
Wild.
He's healthy. Jennings is healthy. Christian comes back, and this defense is fully healthy. Like, what was the status on? God, who's the safety? I can't think of now that Mustafa stepped in for. Hafunga. What's Hafunga's status?
I think he probably comes back like maybe week 12-ish. It was a pretty serious injury.
It felt like it, but it wasn't a season ender.
It wasn't a season ender, but I'm pretty sure they IR'd them.
It feels like they're going to do the Chiefs thing.
Is IR?
The Chiefs of like last year, or the year before, where it's like, hey, this team's a good team, but they're not winning every week, and then they get healthy at the end of the year and they make their run, and it's like, oh, this is the best team in the NFC, and we get a rematch in the NFC title game, and it's a absolute stunner, like just a great game again.
Yeah, Hufanga tore ligaments in his wrist, and he's going to play with the cast.
That's what it was. The arm.
It's an IR, so it's at least 4 weeks.
Come back with a cast.
Tore his ligaments in his wrist, week 5 loss. So 6, 7, 8. I forget. Do weeks count when you're on bye?
They do.
They do. Okay, so maybe he comes back 10 and 11 as well.
I think it's weeks, not games.
Okay. All right. What do you think of the openers? We already kind of teased a couple.
I wondered about that Jets number. So my Jets number is way off.
What were your look ahead plays, by the way? I forget.
I didn't do anything.
Oh, you didn't do anything?
Everything I had was close. The only one and this is a big regret, because the only one I really looked at was Dallas, Atlanta over 48.5. That is like 52 right now.
I do not make that 52, by the way.
I know. So I'm actually looking at the other side of that now, because that's a tough number to get to sometimes, especially if Dallas just poops the bed.
Mm-hmm.
But that Atlanta defense is not good. That Dallas defense is not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a regret when I didn't play. And everything else was just like, I don't know if I should be looking at this, because the Detroit Green Bay number was a little off, but I think I'm a little low on Detroit still. The Seattle Rams was off, but I hate playing a look ahead when I've already bet on a team that week.
Yes.
It's like, what if I'm wrong? I'm wrong twice.
Yes. It sounds like DK Metcalf is going to come back for this game. I don't know how effective he'll be. Rams have extra rest.
Close for this one.
Rams get extra rest. Indy has a rest disadvantage at Minnesota. Big travel disadvantages for the Chargers, but I played the Chargers. I think Denzel Ward injury, I think, matters a lot in that game. And just in general,
what doesn't happen too often?
What's that?
Just like looking at the schedule, something that doesn't happen all that often is playing 3 straight weeks at home.
You're right.
And that is where the Browns are right now. They have not traveled since like Flag Day. So this is their 3rd straight week at home, and the Chargers have built up a cumulative rest.
Are we ever going to get a Browns weather game, by the way? What's up with that?
Are we ever going to get like a weather game? We haven't even had like a real bad wind one.
We haven't. Yeah, weather. I forgot weather was a thing. As I look at my situational stuff, I got a lot of snowflakes, because we have teams like the Chargers at Cleveland. You have the Saints at Carolina. You have Miami at Buffalo. You have Vegas at Cincinnati. Rams at Seattle. Detroit at Green Bay. Tampa at KC. Like, there's a lot of warm weather dome teams in questionable outdoor circumstances.
Perhaps the gales of November will come early.
Be cool. Yeah, so I played a little Jets. I think that some of that is speculation on Diggs injury availability, and I'm gonna feel real dumb.
Miami Buffalo total. What do you make that? That's when I peaked at right away. That ticked up a little bit, but with Holland out and both offenses looking better.
My fare there is 47.5. So not
that
49.
opened a lot higher than I thought it would. Never mind.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's 49 already.
Yeah, I think Green Bay is probably a play in the blind. 3 points is a hell of a lot for the road lines. I think.
Does it matter if it's Willis? I mean, it does, but it's 3.5 some places.
Yeah, I think it matters.
I agree with that one. My numbers say Seattle again, but obviously I haven't upgraded the Rams, and I absolutely have. My Rams number is super fucked right now. That needs to go up, and Seattle's defense probably needs another downgrade. The one that stuck out, the other one that stuck out was Minnesota.
Yeah, where are you?
I know some people have gone the other way, but with the extra rest and the matchup offense versus defense,
I'm
at like 8.5.
Okay, wow. Okay, I'm at 5.6, so I got to look at that one a little more closely. I haven't adjusted for rest though.
Yeah, I'm giving him a healthy rest. It's an indoor game for a speed offense.
Yeah, good point.
I don't have Indy as a huge home field, and that defense getting better, still not good. Where was I with run stop there too?
Are we assuming Drake May's out and it's going to be the Jacoby Brissett show against Tennessee? Does that matter? Matters for the total, I guess.
It does. His ceiling's lower. It's not as dynamic. It's probably not going to go as deep. May can push the ball down the field a little if they let him.
He can run too.
Yeah, obviously I misspoke. That game is in Minnesota. I have a normal home field for Minnesota. Normal to slightly above average.
Yeah, they're good. They're a good home field. Okay. Not seeing a lot. Jacksonville stands out to me. Philly being 7.5 is a huge number, especially if BTJ is available.
Yeah, it has not rained in like a month up here. Wow. I feel like I live in California.
It's amazing.
Burn ban. Can't even have a bonfire in the fall. Philly, Jacksonville.
I am not at 7.5 there. But I don't know if I have the guts to go back to the well with Jacksonville again.
So that's the thing. Like, that number is too big right now. I'm at like really 5.5, 6. I was surprised when it opened on the other side of the 7 with I guess the injuries are important.
This is a Doug Peterson revenge game. Do people not know that?
It is a Doug
Peterson flexed out of Sunday Night Football.
Well, obviously, let's for sure. New Orleans, Carolina. How do you even price New Orleans, Carolina?
Bucks, Chiefs. Chiefs are kind of a mini pass funnel, right?
I was looking at.
If you're a good, smart offensive coordinator, you're just going to throw the ball 40 times against these guys, right?
That's the thing. I was looking at like a Tampa Bay team total. Huh. So that total's like what, 45? So you're talking 22.5. I mean, you can tell me even with the backup receivers against a good defense, the Bucks are like a 20-point team.
Yeah,
they are.
They're good. Yeah, I'm projecting them to get to 20. So yeah, 18.
They're
to the total over 18 would be
17.5, 18. That's too low. So if I had to play something, it would just strictly be Tampa Bay offense via the team total.
I dig that. What do you think? Washington, tough to guess, but Washington Giants. Do you have a guess as to what the Giants are going to open? Because my pre-numbers say that the 3.5 would be a bet on the Giants, and I just don't know. I don't know how many times I'm going to bet the Giants this year or why. I should just stop.
I mean, shouldn't that open 4?
You think it will?
Kind of check. I mean, 3.5, 4 seems fair.
Okay.
The Giants have not impressed for a couple weeks now.
I don't understand what am I referencing something wrong? That my numbers keep saying bet the Giants? I don't understand. I don't have good numbers for these guys. I don't get it.
I have just even with the players they have on that roster, I have such a massive run game advantage for Washington. against that Giants defense. I have a huge, again, even with the players that they have left, I have a pass rush advantage against that offensive line. Your left tackle's out for the year now for the Giants. And obviously the pass versus the pass offense for Washington versus the coverage is a pretty big advantage as well. It might just be like Washington. What's that total? Probably going to be 44, 43. So Washington team total over maybe. Hope they get there off. It's just, hey, do it again, except score touchdowns this time. And the Giants have some weird road split. So now they're home. They're dead. But Patrick, you shouldn't have bet on the team that didn't have a kicker. I mean, that's just fucking stupid. Like, that's on you.
That was me too.
That is crazy. So the two games that Washington went and did the thing where they don't score touchdowns, they just only kick field goals. And they missed one in this one, but they kicked 12 combined field goals between the Giants game and the Bears game, and they get bailed out by one team doesn't have a kicker, and then the wildest ass, not only the Hail Mary, but the play before it too, where they're just like, take 10 yards, whatever.
Do the Commanders have a punter? Have they used him this year?
Is it Tressway?
It's got to have the fewest number of punts of any kicker.
It is Tressway. He is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was a Sooner. Look at that. Yeah, I can't imagine he's punted very much. You want to guess how many punts he has through 8 games? Reggie Roby. Jesus, Patrick, you're old.
Oh, Reggie Roby Reggie Tom. Do you remember Tom Tupa? Tupa. I'm gonna guess 16.
Oh, you had the right sound. 17.
17. That's got to be the fewest in the NFL. That has got to be the fewest.
17 punts. So here's the thing. So what is that? That's just over 2 per game for his career.
Oh God, that's crazy.
743 times in 170 games. So he's averaging 4.37 punts a game for his career. And it's half of that this year so far. And we're halfway through the season, damn near.
Do we know any other alliterative punters besides Reggie Roby and Tom Tupa? Can you think of any other ones?
No. Just for some reason, I had Al Toon in my. He's not.
I'm looking up. By the way, I'm looking up number of punts this season. The Commanders do have the fewest punts with 17 in 8 games. The next fewest is the Kansas City Chiefs, who have only played 7 games. They have 18 punts. Falcons have only punted 20 times. Cowboys only 21 times. That's crazy. You know who has? You got to guess as to who has punted the most this year.
Whoever Carolina's punter is.
No, the Panthers only punted 35 times. They're number 8.
Wow.
35 is very common, by the way.
Who hasn't scored much?
It is the Cleveland Browns.
Oh God, that checks out.
44 punts for the Browns so far this season, compared to 17 for the Commies. That's crazy.
An alliterative punter, Brian Barker. Remember Brian? He would have retired like 10 years ago. Kansas City, Jacksonville, Washington. Everybody who's ever punted has punted for Washington, by the way. Like they've gone through punters left and right. I don't think I got any more.
You don't have any more.
It's just like, oh, I do have one. And this is one you should have gotten. Tommy Townsend.
Tommy Townsend. Good
He's
one.
still punting. He's the Texans punter right now.
I love that.
All right.
John James, one of the greatest punters of all time. We'll have more alliterative punters.
We'll figure it out.
I'm excited. Tune into the halftime show. We're going to talk Breeders' Cup. It's going to be super fun.
We'll do a little on the game. We'll talk some football with, so much does football too. We'll talk about the game. But once we hit overtime, though, it's horses because Del Mar hosts the Breeders' Cup Classic. 2 days. Beautiful beat down in Southern California starting this weekend. We'll see you guys then.
I love it.